The ballroom glittered with chandeliers, laughter swirling through the air like champagne bubbles. But she sat alone in the corner, pretending to scroll through her phone, her heart heavy beneath the shimmer of her dress. Across the room, her twin sister glowed in white, radiant, surrounded by guests and cameras, every flash catching her joy and the man she had once loved. She forced a smile every time someone passed her table, murmuring sympathy disguised as politeness. "You must be so proud." Of your sister, proud wasn't the word. She was hollow, watching the life she once imagined slip through her fingers in a veil of lace and applause. Her hand trembled as she reached for her drink. Her eyes burned from holding back tears. The music swelled and couples began to dance, swirling under golden lights. She wanted to disappear. But then a voice behind her, deep and smooth, stopped her cold. "You look like you're about 2 minutes from running out of here." She turned, startled. A man in a dark suit stood there, tall, confident, his eyes warm but knowing. He smiled slightly, tilting his head toward the dance floor. "Don't worry, I'm not here to make it worse. Just pretend you're with me." She blinked, confused. "What?" He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Everyone keeps staring at you like you're the headline at this wedding." He offered his hand. "Let's give them something else to look at." She hesitated, glancing at the crowd, then at her sister, laughing in her new husband's arms. "You don't even know me," she said softly. He smiled a little. "Maybe not, but I know what being left out feels like. And right now, you shouldn't be sitting alone." Something in his voice felt different, steady and kind. Not pity, just understanding. She took his hand without thinking. He led her onto the dance floor, and as the music swelled again, the whispers faded. Her heart pounded, not from embarrassment, but from the strange calm in his eyes, as he said quietly, "You're doing great. Just breathe. Pretend you're exactly where you belong." The music softened into a slow rhythm as his hand settled lightly at her waist, the warmth of his touch steadying the tremor in her breath. She had forgotten how it felt to be held like she mattered. The chandelier light shimmered above them, painting gold in his eyes, while all around the guests began to whisper, "Who is he with her? Do you know him?" She tried to pull back her voice barely above the melody. "You really don't have to do this." He smiled, gently without letting go. "Oh, I know I don't have to. That's why it matters that I want to." Her throat tightened, the words catching behind her smile. She glanced at her sister across the hall, radiant, surrounded by people who never even noticed. She was gone. Once she had always been the shadow of the twin, the quiet one, the almost beautiful one. And now here she was, dancing in the middle of the room under 100 eyes, with the one man who didn't seem to care who she wasn't. He leaned closer, his voice low. "I saw you sitting there alone before the ceremony. You looked like someone pretending not to hurt." She laughed softly. "I thought I was doing a good job." He shook his head. "Not really. I could see it in your eyes. Something inside." Her cracked at the honesty. The music swelled and she looked up, meeting his gaze for the first time, really seeing him. His suit was perfect, but his eyes carried something raw behind the charm, the kind of sadness only people who've known loss could hide so well, she whispered, almost afraid. "Why are you really here?" He smiled faintly. "I came for the groom. He's my business partner. But I stayed for you." The song ended, the applause echoing around them, but neither moved. His hand lingered in, hers warm, steady, grounding her in a room that once made her feel invisible. Now every eye that used to pity her only watched in awe. They didn't return to their seats right away. Instead, they drifted to the side of the ballroom near the tall glass, windows where the noise of laughter softened behind them. The city lights shimmered outside like fallen stars, and she finally let herself breathe again. He loosened his tie, smiling quietly. "You know, most people would have run out halfway through that song." She laughed softly. "I almost did." He tilted his head. "Then why didn't you?" Her voice faltered. "Because for the first time tonight, I didn't feel like a mistake." His expression changed. Something tender, flickering beneath the confidence. He looked down for a moment before saying, "You know, I used to hate weddings." She blinked. "Why?" He smiled a little bitterly. "They remind me of promises that break too easily." She studied him closer now, seeing the hint of pain behind his charm. "You've been through it too, haven't you?" He nodded softly. "My wife passed 5 years ago. Since then, I've learned how to look happy in a room full of people who don't really see you." Her heart tightened. She whispered, "I'm sorry." He shook his head. "Don't. I got used to it until I saw you tonight, sitting where I used to sit invisible and pretending it doesn't hurt. I just didn't want you to go through it alone." She turned to the window, blinking back tears. The reflection showed them side by side, two strangers carrying the same ache but somehow lighter together. She whispered, "You didn't even know me," he smiled. "That's the thing about pain. It helps us recognize our own kind." The band started another song in the background and he offered, his hand again quietly, "Want to dance one more time?" She hesitated, then nodded, sliding her hand back into his. He grinned softly. "This time don't pretend you belong here, just believe you do." And when they stepped back into the light, her fear didn't follow them. Only calm, only warmth. The next morning, sunlight spilled through her curtains, soft and golden. But she was already awake, replaying the night over and over. The laughter, the whispers, the warmth of his hand as he said, "Just believe you." For the first time in years, she'd gone to bed smiling. Not because someone saw her twin, but because someone finally saw her. She reached for her phone, hesitated, then laughed softly when a message appeared. First, unknown number. "You left your shawl last night. Or maybe you left me an excuse to see you again." Her heart skipped. She typed back, "Maybe both." Later that day she returned to the hotel to pick it up. He was waiting by the fountain, his suit jacket off his sleeves, rolled the sunlight catching the silver at his temples. He smiled when he saw her. "You came back." She smiled too. "Maybe I just wanted my shawl." He chuckled, handing it over. "You're a terrible liar." She grinned. "I had a good teacher." They sat for hours by the fountain, the world passing. Around them, unnoticed, he told her about his daughter, how she'd begged him to start smiling again, how she'd made him promise to go to that wedding just to be around joy again. She told him about her twin, about always being the quiet one. The one people forgot. He listened without pity, only understanding. When it was time to leave, he stood and said softly, "You know last night wasn't pretend, right?" She looked up, meeting his eyes. "What do you mean?" He smiled. "That chair you sat in was always meant for someone real, not perfect, just real. And that's you." Her eyes filled with tears, but this time they didn't hurt. She took a deep breath, feeling something inside her settle, finally at peace. She whispered, "Maybe I'll stop pretending for good." He smiled. "That's the best thing I've heard all year." As she walked away, her heart felt light, the pain of yesterday fading behind her like music, slowly fading into silence. If this story moved you, share it, so others never forget that one. Selfless act can rewrite a destiny in ways no one sees coming.